So, in my last story, I talked about how I got a domestic violence charge. This time, I'm going to go in depth about that. In June of 2024, I was charged with domestic violence. If that makes you uncomfortable, keep watching. Honestly, I know what you're thinking. Women don't get domestic violence charges unless they're violent or wasted. Here's the truth about what happened that day. Like most days, I had been consuming. And that's the only thing that me and my husband really ever fight about, because sober me doesn't act the way that drunk me does. When my husband came home from work, he came upstairs to find me passed out. He found my bottle of liquid and hid it somewhere. When I woke up, I went into a fit of rage because I knew that he had found it, and I knew I didn't have a backup to keep away the withdrawal symptoms. I called him upstairs and demanded to know where it was. He told me that he dumped it out, but I knew that he didn't. I tried to leave the room, and he wrapped me in a bear hug to prevent me from going downstairs and finding it and consuming more. When he let me go, I started knocking things off of his nightstand, not to hurt him, but to get control back. I know that makes absolutely no sense and makes me seem a little childish, but in my state, that was the only thing that I could do. He called 911 thinking that they would force me into a detox program. I called my mom and my best friend to come and get me because I didn't want to be here anymore. They both told me to wait until after the police left, and if I still wanted to leave, they would come and get me. The police left all right, but I went with them. After the police heard both of our stories, they came upstairs to tell me that I was being arrested. I freaked out and asked why. They told me I was being charged with domestic violence in front of a child because our kids were awake, intoxication, and destruction of property. I told them I had no idea what they were talking about because I never put a hand on my husband, and they said that he had a visible scratch on his thumb. When he put me in the bear hug, I was trying to pry his hands off me after I had just gotten a fresh set of nails, and any girl knows that after you get a fresh set, your nails are very sharp. I had no idea I'd even hurt him, but at that point, it didn't matter. He told me not to argue and make it worse, and if I was calm, he would let me walk out of the house, put my shoes on, and not be handcuffed in front of my children. A part of me was in there somewhere because all I thought in that moment was how traumatic it would be to watch their mom fight off cops and be put in handcuffs. So I calmly walked downstairs in a pair of basketball shorts, a sports bra, and a tank top, and put on my slides and walked out the door to their car. Jail strips you of your name before it strips you of your clothes. I got searched, humiliated, and just like the movies, I was told to cough and squat. There was so much going on at once that when they gave me my ID number, I didn't realize how important it was. I didn't know it was used to make phone calls. So I slipped it in the pocket of my gym shorts before they took those away from me. Once they put me in my cell, I realized that all of the stress was causing me to have an asthma attack, and I knew I wouldn't be able to fight it off, and I had no inhaler. So I pushed the call button. Nobody answered. I pushed the call button again, and thankfully, somebody came over and with an aggressive tone asked me, "What fine?" I told them I was having an asthma attack, and he said, "No, it's just anxiety." And I said, "No, I have chronic asthma. This is an asthma attack, and I can't breathe." They finally sent a nurse in about 20 minutes later and listened to my lungs. She agreed I was having an asthma attack, gave me an inhaler, and sent me back into my room. I was able to sleep for about 4 hours, and then I woke up and realized I was in full-blown withdrawal and ran to the toilet to dry heave. I didn't eat when I drank, so I had nothing in my stomach. I had the restlessness, the anxiety, the fear of what was going to happen next, and the electric feeling all over my body. It was complete hell. I was told that I'd be eligible for bail at about 2:30, and about 1:30 I was asked if I wanted to take an hour outside of my cell in the common area. I gratefully said yes and went to make a phone call, and that's when I realized that number was so important and I didn't have it. I broke down and started bawling, and then an angel from a cell down the block asked me to come there. She gave me her card, let me use her funds, and let me call my mom. I was able to talk to her for about 15 minutes, told her that my bail should be posted for her to see at about 2:30, and please to come and get me. She said she would do everything she could. I was then put back in my cell, and luckily from my cell I was able to see the clock, I watched that clock like my life depended on it. When 5 o'clock came, I was devastated because I thought that meant that I wasn't going to be getting out today, and started breaking down for the next 4 hours just bawling. I had no idea what this meant for my life, for my marriage. I didn't know if my husband wanted to work this out, if I wanted to work this out, how I was going to raise my children, how I was going to pay for a lawyer because I knew I couldn't afford it. There were so many questions that I did not have answers to. Then, over the intercom, I heard, "Fine, pack out," and I had no idea what that meant. Luckily, the guard that did my intake was passing by, so I knocked on the glass and asked her what that meant. She meant put all of my stuff back in my bag, that I was getting released. In that moment, I had never been more grateful in my life. The next hour was the slowest hour of my entire life. I kept watching the clock, pacing my cell, washing my face, brushing my teeth, doing anything I could to pass the time. And then finally, the hour was up. They came to get me, put me in handcuffs, and started walking me out of the building. They gave me back my phone and my clothes, let me get dressed, and then told me that I was not allowed to contact my husband or my children until I saw the judge. And I didn't know when that would be. They told me that it's most likely within the first 24 hours, but I had no idea. Then they sent me on my way. I had no idea if there was somebody there to pick me up. My phone was dead, and I didn't know what to do. It was me in a room with a phone and an outside door that I could walk out of any time, but I didn't know how I would get to any place safe. I tried the phone in the room, it didn't work, and then there was a knock at the outside door, and I saw my mom there. And just like that, I was a kid again, crying because my mom was picking me up from daycare. It was the best feeling in the whole world. The rest of the story comes in part 2, about the next week and how I try to navigate life. So if you like the story, like, follow, and comment, and come back for part 2.